I've spent countless hours watching reviews of Pokemon Legends ZA. Every single review agrees on one critical thing.
Nothing to do and flat textures and boring environments and this.
Quick introduction. I'm Mikko. For over a decade, I was a full-time concept artist before teaching art here. Today, we are fixing it. We are doing Game Freak's homework by designing a brand new area for ZA that directly solves the single biggest criticism. So we're gonna focus specifically on the design of the environment. The challenge is this. I'm going to blow up an entire slice of the current map and replace it with something interesting, something that's going to hopefully address the main critique people had over the entire Pokemon Legends ZA's visual design. Environment design isn't just throwing paint at a screen and calling it a day. To make this be a real environment design, we need to set the rules first. And I want to dispel some notions of rules being limiting or bad. When you do design, think of rules like corner pieces in a puzzle. The more of them you have, the easier it is to fill in the missing pieces and complete the assignment. We are going to keep the game as it is, just improve this one area that could use a little more love. We need to take into consideration what kind of player experiences we are trying to enable and critically what the art style is. We can't veer off the art direction of a game too much, and to do that, we need to define the Kalos aesthetic. And luckily for us, here we have a true unfair advantage. We have tons of reference, not just from ZA, but from the game before it, Pokemon X and Y, which I still love. Kalos has a French aesthetic over the entire game, and Lumiose City in ZNA has a Paris aesthetic. That gives us a pretty good boundary on what we can do. Clean, but not overly saturated colors, uniform height and architecture, and overall that France feel. Even though X and Y and Legends ZA are in the same world, the art direction has changed. The old games used tinted colors, meaning they had white added to them. Even black is just gray. For this, I'm going to be using vibrant, expressive colors, because that's what Pokemon Company has been using since Sword and Shield. That's a look that carries through to today. Based on that, I created this working palette. Feel free to screenshot it and steal it right now. To paint this piece, I'm using collage oil brush from angrymikko oil set. This is a collection of Procreate brushes designed to let you paint and blend seamlessly at the same time. All of the brushes are flexible enough to paint the whole painting so that you can work faster and work on the design that really matters. Now we're getting to the core problem and then figuring out the countermeasure. We have two ways to tackle this challenge: a quick DLC that we can just bolt on, or a fundamental fix. I thought about this a long time, and I came to the conclusion that Lumiose is a closed, interconnected circle shape. And bolting an extra area next to it would look like some kind of a blob or tumor. That means blowing up a whole neighborhood over here. Sorry to everyone who just became homeless, but I'm sacrificing you for the greater good here. When doing environment design for games, I've learned there's only one element that is more important than anything else: variety. Even beautiful scenery can be destroyed by what people in the industry call location fatigue. Games that require long tutorials often battle location fatigue by setting the tutorial in a separate area. So by the time the player gains more freedom, they've already gone through one visual area change. You can also see this in any short opening level that changes when you get to the next part. Those are all tricks environment designers use to pique your curiosity and keep you exploring. And this lack of visual variety is precisely why game critics slammed Lumiose City's design. Whenever facing this problem of location fatigue, I developed something that I call counterbalance blueprint. We need to create a new map by finding the perfect counterbalance to the existing city elements. So at its most basic form, you can just pick 3 or 4 elements that describe the experience in the most simple level possible. So let's look at Lumios City. City streets, angular roads, flat ground, gray base colors. That is what comes to my mind when I think about a simple way to describe everything that I have seen. Now, when we put it into this grid, we just come up with different elements that can counterbalance those elements by being an opposite or as different as possible from those. So we have nature, curved roads, verticality, vibrant color variety. Our solution, as you can see from this process already, is going to be a very large park with vertical height differences. And the reason why we ended up with this is because it's directly addressing a counterbalance point elsewhere in the game, visually. Now we move on to execution. Here, stakes are raised, as you can actually damage the gameplay if you don't pay attention to the purpose of the design. First, respecting battle zones. ZA relies on being able to close off zones for nighttime arena battles. We need to also look at the general movement range during those battles. At first, I thought it would be a good idea to put in here a hedge maze that changes shape during days. Just something to connect it to the previous Pokemon titles, but in the battles, you can actively move around and avoid attacks. This is why too tight corridor spaces would not work or they'd be too frustrating. I really love the idea of hedge mazes, but I guess I have to let go of this one. When you think about the concept of park, a single massive grass meadow would be different, but it would completely break modularity. Our park design must retain the feeling of open space, but still offer same lockable zones that the city streets provide for the designers to create those interesting gameplay scenarios. Nighttime can also have a completely different look. For this cliffside, I'm adding lights so they can be dramatically lit from below, changing the look of this entire area. For this road, I'm adding ground lights so the path is visible even in dark. Navigation challenges. Finding your way around 3D spaces is 10 times harder than in real world. Curved roads, like ones in small Italian villages, mess with your inner navigation system, and they can be frustrating or fun, depending on how you look at it. I am curving almost all of the roads, full well knowing that this is going to make the entire zone harder to navigate. But before you burn me at the stake, here's why I'm choosing to do this. Given the structure of this game, this park would probably be an area where the player is returning to again and again. Here you can catch multiple types of Pokemon, the border areas, tall grass meadows, cliff faces, and even hidden entrance to the dark catacombs. Those all provide a natural habitat for multiple types of Pokemon. Because of this zone-like design that is bottlenecked by these bridges and small pathways, everything could be sectioned off in the beginning. The more the player progresses in the game, the more park areas they could unlock. That will help them learn the pathways, make unlocking these new shortcuts more rewarding, and give feeling of mastery once they learn it. All of these trees and cliff faces block visibility. To guide players, every cliff face has a clear outer ledge, providing a clean line of sight to key distant landmarks. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with games, but space design in general. The winding pathways introduce different areas of the park. In City, everything is about efficiency, but the whole purpose of park as a space is to make you slow down and enjoy the scenery. I think it's cute. I think it feels like a park, and it allows for one more way for players to utilize their knowledge of the space later when they don't have to follow these pathways anymore, but they can make their own shortcuts, allowing for one more level of mastery. That's how I would design Pokemon Legends ZA Park. What do you think? This was a bit different from my normal videos, but I wanted to show what the concept art process is actually like. So it's more about problem solving than painting. Painting is just a language to convey those ideas. By the way, I really don't care about graphics at all when it comes to games, but visual design that is everything to me. If you want me to do more design challenges like this, let me know in the comments what game environment should I fix next. I'm Mikko, and I see you in the next video. Please go and paint something.